All right, everyone, get ready for this deep dive. We're going to be looking at this fascinating connection between autism and collecting.
Oh, really interesting area.
Yeah, and specifically, that urge, like that gotta have them all kind of thing
Yeah.
that so many autistic adults seem to experience. So for this deep dive, we're using an opinion piece from the Cheap ABA blog.
Okay.
The title is um, The Ultimate Shopping Experience: How Adult Autism and Gotta Have 'em All Collecting Habits Collide.
Get you.
So what we're going to try to figure out is, it, why is this drive such a powerful thing?
Right.
What does it tell us about, like, the autistic experience? And then also, how can people approach collecting in a healthy, kind of balanced way?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that we're kind of approaching this with a sense of curiosity.
Right. It's
Yeah.
not just like, summarizing the blog post.
Right.
It's really about uncovering, like, the deeper meaning.
Absolutely.
So this blog, it kind of sets the scene. They talk about that gotta have 'em all feeling, using examples, like collecting figurines or rare books, jewelry, things like that.
Yeah, I mean it's that feeling that goes way beyond just casual collecting.
Yeah.
It's that real need to complete the set,
Right.
to find every variation.
Yeah.
I mean, you can imagine what it would feel like.
It's like that feeling you get when you're
Yeah.
doing a puzzle and you're like,
Yeah.
I gotta find that last piece.
Yeah, you've got to find that last piece.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think is at the heart of this connection between autism and collecting? Like, why is this such a thing?
Well, when you think about it, a lot of autistic people, and, you know, they experience sensory input much more intensely than other people.
Yeah.
And so, it makes sense that collecting kind of becomes like this art form.
Yeah.
They're curating their own personal gallery of textures, and colors and sounds.
Oh, and it brings, just this really deep sense of satisfaction
Yeah.
and order
Mm-hmm.
to a world that may otherwise, feel very overwhelming.
That's a really interesting way to look at it. So
Yeah.
it's not just about accumulating stuff.
Right.
It's about creating like a sensory experience
Exactly.
that's personally meaningful.
Yeah, and the blog author makes this other really interesting point about routine and predictability.
Okay.
You know, for a lot of autistic people, the world can feel chaotic and unpredictable,
Oh, absolutely.
but a collection.
Yeah.
That's something that you can control.
Right, right.
You decide the rules, you decide the order, you decide the categories.
Yeah, I can see how that would be very appealing.
Absolutely.
It's like you're building your own little world
Exactly.
where everything just, makes sense.
Hmm. And within that world, you have that sense of agency.
Oh,
You have a sense of mastery that might be harder to find in other areas of life.
right, right.
Think about it. Many, autistic people, have challenges with social interaction or
Mhm.
communication or sensory overload even.
Mm-hmm.
But with a collection,
Yeah,
they're the expert.
right.
They're in charge.
Yeah, this is going way deeper than just, someone saying, oh, I like to collect things.
Right.
This is like almost like a coping mechanism.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's something that the blog touches on.
Yeah.
When they discuss that idea of control and agency,
Okay.
it's not just about, the objects themselves, but it's that sense of accomplishment,
Mhm.
that self-efficacy that comes with building something that's meaningful and being good at something.
Right. It's almost like a source of validation and confidence.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And, while we often think of collecting as a very solitary activity, it can also be a really powerful bridge to social connection.
Right.
Finding other people who share your passion, who understand the nuances of your collection.
Yeah.
That's where the magic really happens.
It's like finding your tribe, your people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A place where you can, your interests are accepted, but also celebrated.
Yes.
Celebrate. A place where you feel like you belong.
Yeah. And that shared language can be so important, especially when you think about like the social stigma that can sometimes surround collecting.
Yeah, not everyone gets it.
Right.
And the blog definitely doesn't shy away from that.
Yeah.
The author actually talks about how some people might judge or even, make fun of somebody for their passion for collecting, which can be really hurtful,
Yeah.
especially for autistic people, who may already feel kind of misunderstood
Yeah.
or marginalized.
It's like that old saying, like one person's trash is another person's treasure, right?
Right.
But it's hard to remember that when you're like facing that kind of judgment or criticism.
Absolutely. And that's why finding those supportive communities is
Mm.
so crucial,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's, online forums or conventions or even just, local meetups.
Yeah.
Being around people who get it
Right.
can really validate your experience and help you to kind of navigate those feelings,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's judgment or isolation.
So it's not just about, the joy of collecting. We're
Mhm.
talking about like challenges,
Absolutely.
but potential downsides as well.
Hmm.
The blog piece mentioned financial strain as a big one.
Yeah, I mean, that's a real one,
Yeah.
especially if that, like, gotta have it now
Yeah, right.
impulse takes over.
I can see how that would be a concern. But isn't there also like an element of value there? I mean,
Mhm.
if a collection is like truly meaningful,
Sure.
wouldn't it be worth investing in?
That's a really interesting point.
Yeah.
I think it speaks to that need for balance, right?
Mm.
Yes, financial strain, it can be a real issue,
Yeah.
but the author isn't saying, like, all spending is bad.
Right.
It's about making, conscious choices
Okay.
that align with, your values
Yeah.
and your budget.
So it's about mindful spending,
Absolutely.
not deprivation.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you set up a collection fund
Right.
or you become like really good at finding deals.
Absolutely. You become a bargain hunter.
Yeah, exactly.
The blog offers some other practical tips too.
Okay.
Like, what about the issue of space?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And organization.
As collections grow.
Right. As those collections grow, they can take up a lot of space.
Yeah, they need a home.
Yeah. It can be tough.
Yeah. And not just physical space, but like even mental space.
Mm-hmm.
The time, the energy it takes to keep everything organized and clean and maintained.
I know.
I mean, that can be a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is where the author really encourages, creativity.
Okay.
Flexibility.
Yeah.
Maybe it's, finding a really unique way to display your collection.
Oh, yeah.
Or even rotating items.
Oh, yeah.
Keep things fresh.
Yeah.
Or even, embracing minimalism in other areas of your life.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Just to make room for, the stuff that you really love. It's
Mhm.
all about finding solutions that work for you.
Yeah. So it's not about getting rid of your passions.
Right.
But it's about like adapting
Mm-hmm.
as your collection, grows.
Yeah. And as you evolve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the social aspect?
Yeah, I mean, the blog emphasizes that importance of connecting with others.
Right.
Online forums, conventions, even just local meetups.
Yeah.
Finding your tribe, so to speak.
Uh-huh.
I think it can make all the difference.
Yeah.
It's a chance to, share your passion, learn from other people, and, and feel that sense of belonging that can be really powerful.
So you're turning that potential, social stigma into a source of connection.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And finally, the blog touches on something that I think is really important, and that is self-care.
Oh, okay.
It's easy to get so caught up
Oh, yeah.
in, in the excitement
Yeah.
of collecting that you forget to take care of yourself.
Absolutely, yeah. It's like any passion, right?
Yeah.
It can consume you
Oh,
if you let it.
Yeah. So what kind of, self-care practices does the author recommend?
Yeah, what are some ideas?
Well, things like, setting boundaries,
Okay.
taking breaks,
Mm-hmm.
engaging in other activities that you enjoy,
Yeah, right.
and, not being afraid to ask for help or support
Right.
when you need it.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that your well-being
Mm.
is just as important as your collection.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that even the most positive things in life
Yeah.
need to be approached with a sense of balance and
Yeah.
moderation.
Absolutely. And that actually brings us back to this core idea
Okay.
that this, gotta have them all urge,
Mm-hmm.
while often, associated with collecting, it might be a, much broader reflection of the autistic experience.
Oh, I like where you're going with this.
Yeah.
So it's not just about the items themselves, but it's about like, the underlying needs that they fulfill.
Exactly.
The order,
Mm-hmm.
control, mastery, connection.
Absolutely. And those needs,
Yeah.
they can be met in so many different ways.
Right.
Not just through collecting.
Right.
Think about the systems that you create,
Yeah.
the routines you cherish, the special interests you have.
Yeah.
that you just, you dive deep into.
Yeah.
These can all be ways
Right.
of making sense of the world
Yeah. Yeah.
and finding your place in it.
Wow, that's really powerful.
Yeah.
It's like the gotta have them all impulse is just like one
Yeah.
manifestation of a much deeper kind of desire,
Exactly.
for understanding,
Yeah.
for meaning,
Hmm.
connection.
Absolutely. And that desire, that drive
Yeah.
to make sense of the world.
Yeah.
That's something that I think we can all relate to,
Right.
whether we're autistic or not.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, with that in mind,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's time to turn our attention to our listener.
Okay.
What can they take away from this deep dive
Yeah.
into the world of, autism and collecting? If you're listening and you kind of connect with that gotta have them all feeling,
Yeah.
whether it's through collecting or even something totally different,
Mm-hmm.
just know that you're not alone in that.
No.
This deep dive has really shown us that this
Mm-hmm.
drive, it goes way deeper than just wanting, material things or whatever.
Yeah.
It speaks to this like fundamental human need for order,
Mhm.
meaning, connection.
And what's so fascinating to me
Yeah.
is that for a lot of autistic individuals that need
Right.
it, it might manifest in some really
Mhm.
unique and specific ways.
Okay.
It could be collecting. It could be, hyper focusing on a particular interest. It could be, creating these intricate systems or routines.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the key is to
Yeah.
recognize that these aren't just
Right.
quirks.
Yeah.
These are
It's an expression.
they're expressions of this deep-seated
Yeah.
desire
Mm-hmm.
to make sense of the world.
Yeah, it's like each of those moments, those gotta have them all moments.
Right.
Whether it's finding, you know, that rare book for your collection, or finally like understanding,
Mm-hmm.
a complex topic.
Yeah, yeah.
It brings like a sense of peace
Mm,
and satisfaction.
absolutely, yeah. It's like fitting another piece into that puzzle,
Yeah.
of your own personal universe.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that sense of satisfaction, that
Yeah.
feeling of like having things,
Yeah.
just so
Mm-hmm.
that can be so empowering, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's a reminder that you have the ability to
Right.
shape your world,
Mm-hmm.
to create, order out of chaos,
Yeah.
to find joy and
Yeah.
meaning in ways that, that might not make sense to everyone else.
Right. And that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
In fact, that's what makes us,
Right.
interesting and unique.
Exactly. So for our listener,
Yeah.
maybe it's time to ask yourself,
Mm-hmm.
like, what are your gotta have them all passions?
Yeah, what are the things that light you up?
Mm-hmm.
That make you feel like you're in your element.
Yeah, and it might not even be about
Right.
having it all.
Yeah.
But it's, about the process,
Mm-hmm.
of seeking, of
Right.
exploring,
Yeah.
of constantly kind of like expanding your understanding
Yeah, yeah.
of something that really fascinates.
Yeah, it's a journey. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's one that's worth embracing, I think.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you're a seasoned collector or just, a passionate hobbyist or,
Mm-hmm.
just someone who loves to kind of dive deep into
Right.
new and interesting ideas,
Yeah.
just remember this.
Mm-hmm.
Your passions, those are what make you you.
Yeah. Embrace them.
Absolutely.
Celebrate them.
Yeah.
Never be afraid to let your gotta have them all flag fly.
Because ultimately the most valuable collection
Yeah.
that you'll ever build
Mm-hmm.
is the one that reflects your own unique journey.
Yeah.
The things that make you
Yeah.
truly come alive.
And on that note,
Yeah.
we'll leave you to explore your own.
Yeah.
Gotta have them all passions.
Absolutely.
Until next time, fellow knowledge seekers,
Mm-hmm.
keep diving deep.